Whoa! Look who it is. Hold on. Is this better? Where's the other camera? Shoot. Damn it. The hotkey doesn't have the right camera on here. Oh, well, we'll make do. Let's see this one. What was the other one? This one. This one's fine. I kind of like the side profile. How you guys doing? This is a special edition of Outside the Overton. You guys are in for a treat today because it's just me, baby. It's just us here today. Zeb, he's working on his house. He's doing some construction type stuff. He's doing some like reworking in his bathroom. And basically, I hope he's not listening to this right now because he's working, but the guys he's got doing it are running real slow. So he's kind of stepped in. He's kind of been helping him out. He's been doing tiling himself all day in his new bathroom setup. So it's just me. He said, feel free to do a show on your own. So bear with me. The technical aspect is not my forte. That's more of Zeb's thing. And, the mouse is not responding. No wonder Zeb has to do this so frequently. Oh, shiznit. What have I done? Uh-oh. Oh, well. For right now. Oh, there it is. There it is. Hey, guy. Hey, mouse. So who we got in the chat right now? I know Ninja of Spades said he could tune in occasionally. He said he's got meetings and then he's pop in whenever possible. We have Derek 14. I said here to talk about it. So yeah, you can probably tell by the production quality and the thumbnail that this is a more casual show. We're just kind of making it work as it goes. How can I, hold on one second. Let's pop this off, my guy. Hold on. Let's pop this off, my guy. Why are black people the fastest runners, but the slowest pedestrians? It's a good question.
And I'll get to that in a second, but I just want to kind of do a little bit of a preamble here. Basically, so today's show is a little bit unique. It's just going to be me. Damn it. I really want, is it this one? Oh, hold on one sec. No, damn it. The mouse. Fiddlesticks. Is this it? Shoot, shoot, shoot. Oh, hold on one second. I want to see if I can't drag and drop this. It wouldn't be an Outside the Overton show without things not working properly. So, geesh, what's wrong with this freaking mouse? Give me one second. No, that's not what I meant to do. Hold on a little bit longer. Here we go. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Maybe I need to get down a little bit lower. It's as low as it goes. Oh, well, camera adjustment on the fly. So today it's just me. Zeb's working. He's got to take care of some stuff. And there's a couple things I wanted to talk about today, and we can go ahead and get right into it. But thank you guys for coming by. This is Outside the Overton with just me today, Joshua Vandernoord. Zeb is out, and I haven't been on in a while. I've been going through some stuff with work, with the personal life, and it's kind of been resolved a little bit for now. And I'm back in the swing of things, guys. I'm back, happy to be with you guys. And this could be a little like preview into what my solo show will be like. So we're feeling it out. We're having a good time. I'm thinking, let's talk about the Afrikaners. Let's talk about what went down with Donald Trump and the South African prime minister, president, whatever they call themselves these days. But I want to address this comment. Let's pop this off, my guy. Why are black people the fastest runners, but the slowest pedestrians? I would say because en masse they're selfish, or maybe that's a little bit harsh. I would say inconsiderate. And of course, this is not all of them, but it's like there's generally, and I was watching, I was going on a walk in the park the other day, and I typically like pray when I walk. I use it to have some personal time with God. And I couldn't hear God's voice because there was some fat black lady screaming at the top of her lungs on day phone. And I think this is just like you have to say it, but it's not all black people. It's not all black people, but it's most of them. And what it is they have just kind of a like lack of understanding of their surroundings in a very selfish sense. They're like, you can say it's culture, you can say it's genetic. It's tough to say, honestly. I'm a race realist. I do believe there is a genetic component to this, but in terms of like the volume, like something like the volume gate, like black people are notoriously loud. I'm not exactly sure why this is, but it clearly stems from this thing you do see in the black community a lot, which is something along the lines of they're not looking out for other people. The volume outside is the same as the volume inside. It doesn't matter if me blaring my music at the top of the volume in my car is with the windows rolled down is disturbing to other people. It doesn't matter, if I'm being loud and obnoxious at a park and everyone can hear what I'm saying. And you see this a lot. This is something that is hold on one second. I'm kind of doing this on the fly here, but this is something that you see a lot in just like selfish people. And like, this is a quality I don't like. Being loud and obnoxious in public, that's one thing, but swearing in public is another. I remember there was one time I was at a restaurant and one of the workers who was clearly like the manager, he was this black guy, and he was just flipping out because stuff wasn't working properly. He was swearing, and there were kids there. And like, I was like, dude, like, quit swearing. There's kids here, man. And he was like, you right. Like, and like good case. But the point is, it's like someone like me and probably someone like you would not have that problem in the first place. You would say to yourself, oh, there's kids here. I should not say motherfucker at the top of my lungs. I should not say, God dang it, without dang at the top of my lungs. Here's someone in the comments. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with this commenter. Hand pink waving. I'm not sure what that means. He's typing in like code here. The greatest civilization unbuilders are selfish. Face blue, wide eyes. I don't know if that's like text to speech, but yeah, like that. Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying now. The greatest civilization unbuilders. It's like I remember watching. You guys probably know who Jesse Lee Peterson is. There was a famous bit on Jesse Lee Peterson where someone came in and they said, "Give a white man a pile of bricks and he'll make a city. Give a black man a city and he'll make a pile of bricks." Fun joke. But anyway, so yeah, sarcasm. Sorry. All good, man. Imperfect citizen. I like this is something like I'm a retard. I'm autistic, probably, and I'm very sarcastic, but I cannot pick it up over text for the life of me. So I appreciate it. Jesse Lee Peterson is the GOAT. He's one of the funniest guys of all time. And this is the point. This is what I want to say. Because sometimes I've had this conversation with Zeb before. Zeb and I talk about race realism. We talk about very serious topics like race, abortion, conservative, the Jewish question, all these very serious topics. And race and the Jewish question are kind of the biggest ones that can get you into trouble today. And I've talked to Zeb about this before, where it's like, Zeb and I were a little late to the party. We started doing this podcast. We started doing these shows together in February of this year, in February 2025. We're a little late to the show. And it pains me to say it, but the days of like saying the N-word to be funny, to like, being the most provocative as possible, it's kind of had its day. And I'll tell you what I mean, because listen, I'm not a prude. I'm a little bit. I'm not a total prude though. It's fun. We all say the N-word. If you play Call of Duty, the N-bomb is flying. That's just how it is. But basically what I mean is this, is what needs to happen now. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Nick Fuentes. I highly recommend him. If you're not, go to cozy.tv. You can also find him on Rumble. He's very popular on Rumble. I watch his show all the time. I love it. Something he says, and I agree with, is the time for implementation is now. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but what that means is people's consciousness, the mainstream consciousness about race in the Jewish question, it's rising. When I was growing up, like 2015, 2016, I was in high school. I was just about to graduate. I graduated in 2016 from high school. You couldn't say a damn thing about black people. You couldn't say anything about Jews. Now you can. So the problem, black fatigue. Imperfect Citizen says black fatigue. Yes, the black fatigue is rising, and it's only getting higher. Should I do it? Does it make me look gay to like roll my eyes? I don't know. I think like kind of showing the under my eyes, it looks a little faggy. Should I have said that? Oh well. Anyway, but the point being, hey Chris B, how you doing? JLP is a legend. Welcome back. Happy to have you in the chat. It's a solo man show today. I hope you can bear me. I know you guys love Zeb, but you love me even more. Am I right? No, I'm kidding. But basically, how many people we got on the watching? We got 7 watchers right now, supposedly 20. It's already been 20 minutes. Hot diggity dog. I guess that makes sense. I've hinted at it a little bit before, but I work in radio. I have my own radio show that I do live on Saturdays. I'm the producer for a popular radio show down here in South Carolina. And yeah. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I'm a little bit seasoned when it comes to jibber jabber. But basically, hold on. Comment. Interesting. I went through high school in the early 2000s. Why is it not coming up? I talked mad shit about all kinds of ethnicities almost without any issues. And here's the thing. Yeah, you're right. Bogdan, no comment. Bogdan Chinginko. Basically, I'm not saying like basically after the 60s, you started to see this decline in racism, like racism started to become more taboo, and it really hit its peak during the Obama administration. Like during the Obama years, that is when like racism, you couldn't say anything about blacks. And that's what was going on when I was growing up. Uh, and of course, because basically, sorry, I get so distracted by the I can't multitask. I can't do two things at once. So forgive me if I just kind of freeze up. I'm reading the comments. But basically, shiznit. What was I saying? I also have the memory of a goldfish. Anyway, black people. Black. Oh yeah, you can't have the like the Obama years is when it really sort of hit its peak. And I remember the appetite. Every for all history, the thing you were supposed to do the least, there's a draw to it, especially if it's just natural or, in some cases proper. That's why you're starting to see the shift back to Christianity. You were expected almost at gunpoint, at social taboo, to be this upright Christian citizen. And what do you see? You see that basically Christianity starts to delve in the way in the 60s. People start to, sexual revolution, all this stuff. People start to turn away from it. Well, now you're falling into, it didn't take long, only a couple decades, just total sexual depravity, total freakazoid world. And then you start to see the shift back to Christianity. And that's the thing with race is basically you start to see during the Obama years, you can't talk about race at all. Now you can. People are having the black fatigue. And people are unabashedly unafraid to donate to people like, what's her name? The girl who called the little kid an N-word, that kind of stuff, basically. And so with that, my point is this, is we need to be serious about political change. And so someone who started watching the show Malarkey, I don't know if he's watching right now, probably not. He'd probably be in the live chat if he was. And there's someone named Tyrone Jefferson. I don't know if that's a joke or, if he's an actual black person. But the point is it's like, it's not about unity. It's not about like bringing blacks and whites together, because that's just impossible. Like you're never going to have that. But it is about catering the message to what we want it to be now. When it was total like black Nazism, where you couldn't criticize a black person for anything during the Obama years, saying the N-word, being highly provocative, was an effective strategy because it was changing the nature of the conversation. But now the nature of the conversation has changed. And we actually need to start waking people up, not just to the fact that like the majority, well, not the majority, but like the majority of violent crimes are perpetrated by black people. You're more likely to be in danger if you're in a black neighborhood than a white neighborhood. And it's not because they're poor. It's because they're black. It's because that is just how it is. You're more likely to be in danger if you're a white person in a black neighborhood. And frankly, you're more likely to be in danger if you're a black person in a black neighborhood than a black person in a white neighborhood. This is just what the data shows. This is just what it just be the facts, yo. And I want to read some of these comments here in a second. But yeah, so my point is we need to sort of adapt to the time. I've told Zeb, it is fun to like poke fun at black people. I mean, I'm doing it right now. But we also need to it comes to the point where it's not about convincing black people about race realism or anything like that. It is to a certain extent about convincing white people that they are distinct and getting white people to consolidate based on the fact that they are white. And this will be important, as based by the thumbnail. We're going to be talking about what's going on in South Africa right now. But that's my point, is now that like race realism is becoming more mainstream, it can't just be about all fun and games and calling black people the N-word. It has to be about convincing people and creating a message that is more palatable. That's what we kind of need to direct our energy towards now. But what does this say? How was the decline of shame in society normalized female promiscuity and obesity? And what are the cultural and psychological impacts? Well, I'll answer you, Mr. Tyrone Jefferson. Pretty simple. Women and men have a nature. And what you're seeing now is women, it's not that women are being left unchecked. That is a big part of it. But women are also trying to adopt the male nature. They're not trying to, how do I put this? They're not trying to fall into accept their own nature. They're trying to swap the gender roles. They're trying to be boss ass bitches and feminize men, because when you have a society or a system or even a workplace where it is purely competitive, it is purely merit based, 9 times out of 10, the best qualified candidate will be a man. And it depends on the field, obviously. I mean, like teaching, nursing, these are roles that are majority filled by women. And there's a reason for that. That's because women are good at those roles, generally speaking. And the fact is that most other fields are going to be better run by men. And that's because I tried to explain this to my girlfriend once, where basically, the nature of reality hasn't changed at all. Men are hunters, women are gatherers. This is our nature. Men are the protectors, women are the child raisers. They're the defendants, and men protect them. This is the natural role of things. And no matter how many skyscrapers we live in, no matter how many things we build, how many modern day amenities we have, that is something that is buried so deep within us. You're not going to get rid of it with modern day amenities. And so my point is this: when I say things like most jobs out there are going, like the most qualified person is going to be a man, I understand the woman's natural inclination to kind of flinch at that statement, to kind of cringe at it. But the truth of the, I want to try and switch it up here for a second. But the truth of the matter is basically that most jobs fall under the category of hunter, not gatherer. Most jobs require a ruthless sort of go get it attitude that you will more commonly find in men. That's why I said that, not that women can't be qualified to do jobs, but that if you're looking for the most qualified, it will more often than not be a man. Something like jobs like being a lawyer, jobs like being a doctor, where it's like the feelings of the matter don't really come into play. It's a yes or no. I have to win. Feeling like what you feel about it doesn't matter. You're going to more often than not find men in those roles. And it's not just every man. I'm not saying you can pick out a man out of a hat and a man's name out of a hat and drop him into being a doctor and he'll be a good doctor. But like this sort of almost autistic, like, here's your problem, here's how we fix it, this is what it is. That quality is more commonly found in men. With lawyers, being sort of unabashedly deceptive at simply for the fact that, oh, I need to win this case, you're going to find that quality more often than not in the men. And that's really what I mean by that. We're all over the place today. Will white tribalism actually take off, though? Does patriarchy need to be re-implemented before genic liberal values can be overcome? That's a good question, Imperfect Citizen, and I want to say this. I do think that white tribalism is inevitable, but will it be too late? That's really the question we need to be asking. So to answer, oh man, I'm about to sneeze. To answer your question, yes, white tribalism is inevitable, but will it be too late by the time we get there is the question. Will we be overrun? Will the boats be full? I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I wouldn't be surprised if in 100 years from now, America has been completely overrun by blacks and browns. And of course, the system just falls into disarray. This is what you've seen in South Africa. This is what you see in modern day Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, where you have a white-run society with a black minority, The black minority revolts, overtakes the white society, and they can't run it as effectively. They don't run it as well. And it's not to say that there's not black people within the society that can run it, but the thing is it takes a village to raise a kid. One person can't do it all. One person can't do it all. The point is like if everyone in the world were replaced by black people, you're going to get Ben Carsons. You're going to get Jesse Lee Petersons. You're going to get black intellectuals. You're going to get really smart and effective black leaders. But when the baseline, when the masses aren't supportive of those things, when the masses don't value things like that, it's not as effective, if that makes sense. Chris B says 90% of movies and shows star girl boss Mary Sues, and women are convinced they are stronger, smarter, etc. than men. We all know who controls Hollywood. Yeah, we all know. I'm not going to say it, but you know who it is. Yeah, and that's the thing is I never realized before how much media actually mind controls people. How much free will, or maybe not free will, that's a bad term, but how little agency the masses actually have. You are seeing a giant influx of people, of young women entering the nursing career. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I think women do make effective nurses. My girlfriend's a nurse. My sister is a nurse. A lot of people I know are in the medical field are nurses. But you're starting to see this giant influx of them entering the nurse force, whatever you want to call it, because I would argue because of Grey's Anatomy. You see this sort of romanticized lifestyle of working in the hospital, and women are basically expected to go into the workforce these days, so they go into that. You're seeing a giant influx of women entering the workforce as nurses. And now, like the Mary Sues, the businessman, the businesswoman type thing, women are entering the workforce with this sort of unrealistic expectation of how it is. And it's one of those things where it's like the male fantasy, like the modern day male fantasy hasn't changed very much from what it was 100 years ago. The modern day male fantasy is maybe to be someone who's like a criminal. You know, it's like I'm living on the edge. I'm like a Walter White. What's the guy's name? Rick Grimes. I'm like living in a post-apocalyptic world. I'm the leader of some small community or something like that. You know, we're figuring out how to survive. Oh, I'm dealing with the stress of running a drug empire. That, like a cowboy pirate. Those are the things that men fantasize about. You know, like that's their like, who could I be if I wasn't me fantasy. The modern day woman's fantasy is to be a man. They want to run a business. They want to be the best doctor. They want to come into a room and people shiver. They're like, "Oh, Jessica has entered the building." And it's because of media. It's because women have been convinced that staying home and being a mom isn't good enough. Who gives a shit about working in an office? If I worked a normal 9 to 5 where I was just like writing emails all day, I'd put a gun in my mouth. And that's what women want to do. Or it's not really what they want to do. What women really want to do, and they don't consciously know this, but what women really want to do for the most part, all these like girl boss types, typically they're liberal women. Like it sucks that I have to say this, but you just do. Like I've told my mom and like other women in my life, they say things like, "Josh, you say some really sexist stuff," and I'm like, but you agree with it, and they're like, "Yeah, but you know, it's just how it comes across." I'm like, "Look, I get it, but the point is like I think it's not that I think women are stupid. It's not that I think women are complete screw ups. It's that I think." If only my mom, my sisters, if every woman that I know in my life were the only people in the world allowed to vote, the world would be a better place. but they're not. The point is that the vast majority of women fall into the liberal trap. They fall for this sort of care-based ethic that is common in the liberal mindset. And at the end of the day, what these women want to do, the women that are like careerists, the women that want to pursue a job, what they want, whether they consciously know it or not, it's not to be the best at the job. It's to be perceived as the best at the job. They want the status. They don't want the responsibility. They want to wear a nice business lady outfit and have the job to back it up. You know, they want to wear the cool boss ass bitch CEO. I shouldn't swear as much, but here we are. They want to wear the boss ass girl boss. That's it. That's what I should say. Girl boss outfit and have the status to back it up. While a man who is aspiring to do the same thing, they are doing it for the love of the game, or because they're passionate about the business. Like, that's why you typically find autism more commonly in men, because autism and like this kind of thing it's the obsession with the minute, the obsession with things like steel. Like, I find myself going on the internet and doing deep dives into like just random obscure topics, and certain guys, they just become obsessed with things. And that is the thing, is it's like, extrapolate outward. I went into the broadcast world. I work full-time in the radio industry. I do this show with Zeb on the side. It's really fun. I'm really passionate about broadcasting. I could not give less of a crap about steel manufacturing or construction or anything like that. And it's not that I don't find those things interesting. It's just not my passion. If I were doing it, it would be because I had to. Men can find purpose in doing little tasks. There's a part of me, like, I get like a rush whenever I fix something on my own. And so guys that are handyman, they love doing that. Women generally don't. There's exceptions, but they generally don't. And the point is so when you try, like, that's why women who enter the workforce, they don't climb up the ladder as fast, because they're not as aggressive, and they're less satisfied because it's difficult, because because they don't have that in them. Some of them do, and some of them get there, you know, that's great and fine and dandy and all. But the point is that most of them don't, and that's why. So men work for a family, women work for power. That's actually not true. That's actually not true, Ninja. Basically, men do work for power. Men are like crave power. They crave function. They crave status. Status in a different way, if that makes sense. But this idea that, like, that's another thing we have to say. We like, this is not the woman bashing show. Men and women have a nature. And the thing is everyone's trying to deny the nature right now. And I'm not trying to bash Myron. I think Myron's a good guy. I think Myron's a net positive for the movement and the message. But basically, what the thing about Myron is he's so you have here, right here. Here's where you need to be. We've gone too far this way. Myron has brought us back to here, but he's overcorrected. He's taken it too far to the point of polygamy, to things like that. And geez, I'm screaming in the microphone here. That's the kind of thing we need to avoid. That's the kind of thing we need to be careful about. And that's my point. That's what I was saying earlier about saying the N-word and stuff like that. Yeah, it was fun in 2016. Yeah, it's fun to say with your friends. But saying it in a political movement these days, it's not about not hurting black people's feelings. It's about being palatable to normies. And here's the thing. You don't need to worry. Like at the end of the day, we do need to be proper representatives of Christ. And being cruel, you know, like if you let the N-word fly every so often with your buddies and a black guy hears it, it's not the end of the world. But if you're coming on a show, if you're trying to be a representative of the next movement of this, if you're trying to shape people's minds, Yeah, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You know, like I'm not going to say it here because we're on YouTube, but I say the N word. Of course I do. It's fun. It's fun because you're not supposed to say it. The point being is let's not focus on that too much. If it slips out, it slips out. But if not, it doesn't. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Honestly, okay. So Tyrone says, honestly, a smart woman is rarer than a dumb one. Yeah, yeah, of course. And it's smart in what way? This is the point. Women are far more emotionally intelligent, and that is their function. Men, like women, have this pain reaction. They have this gut revulsion when you say things like men are more rational. But the point is it's like men are more rational intentionally. Like God made it that way, and women are more emotionally intelligent. We say men are more rational as a compliment. We say women are more emotionally intelligent as a compliment. The downside, men are more rational, but they're more cold. They're more unfeeling. They're more likely to emotionally damage a child, to lower a child's self-esteem. A woman is more likely to build the child up, to nurture the child, to bring the child, to build up their spirit. The point being is that too much of either or is bad. And you see that now. You see that basically we have a rampant amount of single motherhood going on in the world. So what you see is without a father, children are coddled. They are supported too much. They are given they are not scolded enough. They are not punished. And what do? You get spoiled baby adults. You get Disney adults. You get adults that act like children because they never grow up. On the other side, if you have a child raised solely by a father, you might get a sociopath because they're not thinking, they're thinking purely rationally. Their only metric is accomplishment. Their only metric is a checked box. That's why men and women complement each other. They check each other. A woman can check the man when he's being too emotionally cold. A man checks the woman when she's being too emotional for the sake of the child. So Zeb, I don't know. Do you want to join? How's it going, man? No, the cameras are kind of set up for.
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. I don't know how much. I'm just kind of winging it here. I didn't even talk about the South African guy yet. Did you talk about that on your stream the other day? So yeah, basically, yeah, women and men are designed to check each other. It is a compliment, but it is also a cautionary thing to say when you say a man is rational, when men are more rational. It is a compliment, but also a point of caution when you say that women are more emotionally intelligent. They're two sides of the same coin. Women are emotionally intelligent. They are less rational because they let their emotions drive their thoughts. Men are more rational, but they don't give any consideration to the emotions. And obviously, it's case by case. You're gonna find men that are wussies. You're gonna find women that are dykes. You're gonna get exceptions to the rule. But obviously, we're talking about generalities here. Anyway, maybe there's something to what your wife said, Zeb, about multitasking, because I cannot read the comments without actually stopping and reading the comments. It's emotionally intelligent to expect men to read minds. Well, it's
riddles, dog. It aggravates the crap out of me.
Yeah. I don't know if you could hear that, chat, but Zeb said his wife talks in riddles. Yeah, women don't talk directly. Men talk directly. I wear my heart on my sleeve. The women in my life do not. Because that is the kind of power that they have. They have control over the hoo-ha. That's what men create. And so they control what they can, which is the emotional intelligence. Like they are aware of the man's emotions and they do their best to manipulate that. A man will sit down and just explain what he's thinking. And you can, it's not emotionally, and that's the point. So isn't it? The mouse is gone. Left down. Is it on your? There we go. So Ninja, it's not intelligent to do that, but it is emotionally intelligent. And when I say emotionally intelligent, I mean that women understand emotions better, not that they know what to do with that knowledge properly. See, here's wait, hold on. Which camera? Shiznit. I empathize with you, Zeb, because this mouse
Yeah, we got to
sucks.
figure that out.
That's me again.
Chad,
you go.
what's up? I got like 2
Is
seconds.
your mic on? Oh, you got to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
back
yeah.
out there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I got the baby inside. I just want to say, hey,
how's it
how
going?
we doing? How's the string going?
I think it's going pretty good.
Chad, I've been tiling all day. I don't know if I got tile on me.
I was
I
telling
busted
him
my
about
arm up,
that. I was saying I hope you weren't
Brutal,
listening
dude.
because I was kind of crapping on your contractors. I was like, yeah, they're dragging their feet, which is why
No,
Zeb's
go
got to
for
get
it,
in there
dude.
and do that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh God, I hope they're not listening.
Well,
but,
the wife wanted a pattern, and they said that they could do it. And this is the thing with trade workers is the vast majority of them are full of themselves.
Mhm.
And they think they can do things that they probably can't, but they do it anyway. You know, a kind of a fake it till you make it kind of mindset.
Right.
But anyway, most of your trade workers that are at that level, this is just the nature of the game, and everybody has their roles. But the ones that still do it by themselves, not by themselves, they still do it personally, don't have the it's going to sound bad, like the intelligence to build the business itself and have people under them, or either they're too particular to allow someone else the reins to do something. You know, I mean, you could call them perfectionists if you want to, but at some level, you got to kind of build a business yourself, where you're just going to never retire, work till your body breaks. But that's kind of where we're at right now. So I've been doing shower tile, and it's called a herringbone pattern, kind of like chevron.
Mm-hmm.
Not fun. I laid the tile for the seat. It was like 35 tiles, and like 27 or 28 of them had to be cut.
Damn.
Like all of them.
Damn.
It was brutal. We getting there though.
We're getting there. Anything? I mean, we're talking about men and women right now. You can read the chat. Any comments on what they're saying right now?
Where we at? It's emotionally intelligent to expect men to read minds. Yeah. Emotionally intelligent to poop your emotional diaper. Pure rational.
I was gonna hone in on
reason
that
emotion.
one. Pure rationality can reason emotion. Emotion cannot feel ration. But here's what I think about that.
I don't know. To an extent, right? I mean, can Elon Musk, as smart as he is, ration emotion? To an extent, he's still awkward. Like some things are just like personal.
Yeah.
Like if you gave him time, he'd probably figure it out.
That's what I was going to say. As I was going to use the example of a sociopath, like someone who doesn't feel emotion but understands the mechanics of how it works and can replicate it somewhat effectively.
Yeah.
Where basically, like what they have going on is they're manipulating people because they rationally understand emotion. So you're absolutely right, Ninja. Like that is possible. But my point is it's not about like who's better, which is better, being rational or being emotionally intelligent. The point is that what is best is to be most Christ-like, and how men and women's natures are contradictory, which is why we are designed for each other, why we complement each other. So the point is like, yeah, you can get a man who can like rationalize how emotions work, but they're a sociopath, and that's not a good thing to be. You can get a woman who understands emotions very well and can manipulate men, but she's a borderline sociopath. Is that a good thing to be? No. The point is you want a woman who is emotionally intelligent, a man who is rational, to come together, make a kid, and then they check each other. Their natures are balanced.
Let me click on Tyrone's real quick. Mr. Jefferson.
The bottom one?
Yeah, Mr. Jefferson. I'll touch on this real quick and I'm going to bounce. He says, when women say they are more nurturing, some would come back to that by saying single fathers do better than single mothers in general. Do you think women have sympathy but lack empathy in general? I say they are empathic and not sympathetic, if that makes sense, to answer the last question. But the first question is, the reason that single fathers do better than single mothers is in the later stages, not the early stages, right? So the nurturing isn't necessary after like somewhere between 5 and 10, depending on the child. And so that transition to the father is necessary. Now, the father can be nurturing in the early years, which is why single fathers can do it. Like kind of like Ninja said a second ago, it's almost a rationale thing. Like I can ration nurture. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I can ration nurture to a point, but it's not natural for me to do that.
I can say there's something to be said about doing goo goo gaga voice to a baby. And it's not like I would never do that, but I've got a kid here. I'm raising it on my own. I got a goo goo gaga.
Yeah, you'll
like,
do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can ration your way to nurture, but I don't think a woman can ration their way, especially for boys, once they get into that, I don't know, you could call it the danger zone of like 10 to 15 or so. Right.
Yeah. And that's why like punishment, for example, I think punishment only works well from the man, because when women like, and I've seen mothers punish their kids,
It's an authority thing.
but it comes across, it doesn't come across as like to the child. I mean, like the child can pick
It's
up
like,
that they're like lashing out of anger, not out of responsibility.
Right. It's like the fear of the Lord, right? In this instance, the father is instilling that fear.
Yeah.
As if he is God, whereas the mother is a more of a lashing out thing. Can it be the other way? Maybe in some circumstances, but the vast majority of them, I would say no.
And another thing I was going to say is this is basically, hold on. Are you on main cam? Not really. But basically with single mothers, you like the numbers show that fathers are better at being single fathers than single mothers are being at single mothers. Yeah. But I also think that has to do with the types of women that are single mothers these days. Yeah. Single fatherhood is extremely rare. You headed out?
Yeah, let me check.
All right, hold
Chat.
on. Let me get you back on.
Thank you for listening to me talk for 2 minutes. Pieces.
Oops.
Have a good one.
Say goodbye.
I'm out.
There we go.
Oh, that would have been useful.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about it. I'm a dumbass. But anyway, thanks for joining us, Zeb. But basically, what I was about to say is that fathers make better single fathers. Men make better single fathers because the men that find themselves in single fatherhood don't seek it. They, the mother dies in childbirth, divorced, and the mother's a bitch and the mother's a stinker and just leaves home. Doesn't care about the kid at all. That is so they find themselves in that position. Single motherhood is financially incentivized in America. And so the type of women that are being single mothers are self-interested people. They will shiznit out a kid. They'll let some random guy dump a load in them and then have a kid because they're going to get a paycheck. They're going to get a payday. And they don't care about the kids. I mean, they have a baseline sort of natural affinity towards the child, like you're not going to get rid of it simply, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you get it. No, baby voice slows development. Is that true? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe it does. I would say, because here's the thing, parents need, and this is not just a new phenomenon. I'm sure this has gone on forever, but it's definitely bad now. Parents need to be conscious of their children's age. And I'll give you a good example of what I mean. Me and my brother, and I'm not crapping on my brother here, I love my brother, but he and I are very different people. And that's because we were raised very differently by the same parents. When I was 12, my younger brother was 6. And, he's like, Mom, Dad, I have to go to the bathroom. And they don't want to go. They're like, Josh, take your younger brother to the bathroom. So at 12 years old, I'm taking my younger brother to the bathroom. He's 6. This pattern continued until he was like 13. Like by the time he was my age, when I first started taking him to the bathroom, I still had to take him to the bathroom because he was still a baby in my parents' minds. And that has an effect on people. And my brother's not a bad kid or anything like that, but like the point is like he's a different person. Like we're in different places developmentally, and that's because I was given more responsibility at a younger age. He was not, because he was coddled and treated like a baby. So there's definitely some truth to that, and that's just an example of what I mean. But yeah, we get it. Chat, anything? I think Zeb got it mixed up. They don't lack sympathy, feel bad for people. They lack empathy, put yourself in their shoes in general. I think you're right. I was thinking that too, Tyrone Jefferson, at the excuse me, at the same time that I think he had them flipped, where women, they can understand. Emotional intelligence is to understand the emotion, but to implement that properly is a whole different matter entirely. How to use that knowledge to the best of your ability. The point is, like what I was saying about single mothers a second ago, is the type of women that are single mothers are just bad people already. The good mothers are married. The good mothers seek a husband, procreate after marriage, ideally after marriage, and then they, the good women, geez, the kind of lifestyle that either creates a single mothers or women who seek that out are bad to start with. And that's why single motherhood produces bad mothers and bad children, consequently. I'm trying to push all my kids to the same milestones. NLT, what's NLT? The firstborn, ideally faster, nurture. I'm not, Ninja, type in what NLT means. Maybe I'm an idiot and I should know that, but I don't. So sorry. How long have we been going? Oh, dang, almost at an hour. Pretty good. Yeah. So basically, men and women complement each other. Men are suited to many different things. Women are suited to other things. And that's the point, is it's like, don't be upset, women. Like if we're talking about tasks, if we're talking about jobs, responsibilities, things like that, men are generally better. But that's okay. And that's the thing, is it's like some guys like see that as a problem, and other guys are more suited to different things. I am not a laborer. I'm a fat ass and I hate the sun. I hate the heat. I don't work outside. I don't want to work outside. I definitely can. And some days it's better than working in an office. But you get what I'm saying. Like different people, different things, certain qualities exist in certain types of people. Men and women have a nature. The nature complements each other. And the sad fact is, and we're talking about, well, who's better at raising a parent in a single household, men or women? It doesn't matter, because we know that a mother and a father who have a healthy marriage, love each other, and love the kid is the best solution. That's the best recipe. Okay, so you think we should embrace emotionality to the extent that it synergizes our activities and organizations? Depends on what you mean. I'm talking about this in the context of raising a family. If you're talking about like, oh, we need men and women in a bit like running a business because women are more emotional and they can bring something to the table for running a business through emotion. That's not what I'm saying at all. If anything, the opposite. I'm saying men are best at running businesses because it takes a cold, unfeeling thing to stomp on the competition. Now, the point is you do have to check that, but the point is it's like men's nature left unchecked is destructive. Women's nature left unchecked is destructive. The left popularizes terms like toxic masculinity, and we fight back and say, oh, what you're describing as toxic masculinity is just masculinity, which is true. But that doesn't negate the fact that toxic masculinity does exist. And I would say Myron and Andrew Tate do fall into that category. Now, I think they are, at this point in time, net positives, but there will come a time where we have to say, stop listening to them. When the majority of people understand the nature of women, the nature of men, how we complement each other, saying that, oh, polygamy is the best route for a happy marriage or whatever. That's not true. And we need to be able to say that's not true. Myron, I agree with you on this. I don't agree with you on that. Andrew Tate, I agree with you on this. I don't agree with you on that. And that's what I hate about like the liberal conservative dynamic, is that the liberals are right sometimes. Okay? We can say that, yeah, the liberals are supporting the Gazans and the Palestinians and everything going on in Gaza because they are the minority, because they're like brown people. And I don't agree with it based on that. I'd say we need to support them because it's a genocide and what's going on is wrong. But when the liberals say it's a genocide, they're not incorrect. And I may not agree with them on their reasoning behind it, but it is a genocide. Anyway, we need to just be honest is the point. Like, really, like, people get so hung up on talking points that they forget what they actually believe. So people, like, we just need to be introspective and move forward. Do not succumb to the passions. I agree, but this is true of men and women. Women have a very emotion-based passion. Men are passionate about power, status, success, tangible things. Left unchecked, you get greed. That's my point. Emotions are connected to the passions. Yeah, it's not that men aren't emotional. It's just they're emotional in different ways. And women understand men's emotions because they are simple. Men want to bust. And they do fall in love. It's not that it's not that men only view women as like sexual organs that they use. Myron types and Andrew Tate types might, but men do fall in love. Men do catch feelings. And when a man is vulnerable, he's more vulnerable than a woman. A woman, their emotional intelligence comes out in the beginning of the relationship when the child is born, very early on. Anyway, I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the engagement. We're having a good show today. I'm really enjoying doing my solo show here. We've been live for an hour. I'm not sure how much longer I'll go, but since I put it in the thumbnail, I do want to address briefly the situation in South Africa. And I watched Nick's show today about it. Nick Fuentes' show today about it. So if you've seen that already, you're going to be getting it again. Apologies. But I agree with what Nick said, where I won't focus on what he said, that aspect of it too much, but I will say that, you know, like, it's good that Trump is, you know, throwing the South African prime minister, president, whatever he is, under the bus and embarrassing him. But he's doing it because South Africa was one of the first countries to put out like a arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu to go against Israel for their persecution of the Palestinians. That's why Trump is doing that, not because of a white genocide. White genocide in South Africa hit its peak in 2019 when Trump was still president. Didn't say anything about it then. And you could argue it's a net positive, you know, and I think it is a net positive, but let's not lose sight of what's actually going on here, which is, as soon as it's no longer popular, Trump won't talk about it anymore. I think Myron and Tate make clear that polygamy is only suitable when you have the financial means and more to satisfy all the women you deal with. And that's true, is it's like men are actually very shallow and women are actually very shallow too. They're just shallow in different ways. And polygamy, like a rich polygamous man and his many wives, is actually probably the best way of life, or not the best, but the most natural way of life for shallow men and shallow women. To become Christian and to be more Christ-like is to change, not to change your nature, but to recognize your nature and rise above it. Tate and Andrew are giving themselves over, Andrew and Myron are giving themselves over to their base human inclination, to their base human nature. God calls us to be more than that. God calls us to be more Christ-like, which is to deny ourselves, which is to deny that, yeah, men want to bust nuts in as many guts as they can. Everyone does. No, and the thing is it's like a man, like someone like myself, I don't have the desire to do that. Like, I'm not resisting the urge to do that, if you know what I mean, because I've grown up in a Christian household. I have a very Christ-centered life, but if left unchecked, that is the baseline. Like in your wildest dreams, there is something there that activity would satisfy. And that's the point, is we need to rise above that. So Ninja says that there is ideal, not the best. Hold on. That there is ideal, not the best for them to live. They suffer more the closer they get to their ideal. Are you talking about South Africa or women and men? I'm not really sure, Ninja. I don't know if it's the white light. Every time, like ever since Zeb installed this white light, it like hurts my eyes and it makes me more tired. I might call it here in a minute. I've really enjoyed doing a solo show. I enjoy the show with Zeb and we're going to keep doing it, but I'm going to start doing my own solo show here soon. Not sure what to name it yet. Maybe you guys can help me out with that. But Ninja, I appreciate the comment. Not sure what you mean. Maybe you can clarify in a second. But yeah, basically it's good what's going on in the consciousness right now. And Tate and Myron really are pushing the conversation forward. They're pushing it into its next phase. But maybe the next phase doesn't include them. That's kind of the point I'm getting at. But anyway, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Unless you guys have something to say, I'm kind of running out of steam. Delexia popping off in the studio talking about shallow people. Oh, shallow people, yeah. I'm a retarded person. Ninja, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry, Ninja. I'm a retarded person. But yeah, shallow people, yes, they live closer to their ideal. Absolutely 100%. But I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. An hour solo show. Pretty good in my book. Appreciate you guys listening. Hope to catch you on the flip side. Zeb and I and Rodney should be in studio tomorrow. Finally, it's like the first time the three of us have done a show in forever. But again, appreciate you guys for checking in. If you want, go check out my show live on Saturdays at live953.com. And I'll catch you guys. Oh, hold on the other side.